Pacers are seeking their first NBA title in franchise history. Finals for the first time since 2000 when they lost in 6 to Kobe and Shaq. First title since moving to OKC 17 years ago. Their first finals appearance since 2012 where they lost in 5.
The NBA season's officially over, and after what may have been the most entertaining playoffs and final series in years, we finally saw the Larry O'Brien Trophy get lifted high as the OKC Thunder continued their year-long dominance and won the NBA championship. After a season full of championship expectations and being called the best team in basketball, OKC proved not only to the rest of the league but to the entire world as well that they weren't just a regular season fluke. They got it done, and they got it done by not only beating some really good teams but also toppling one of the most historic underdog runs in NBA history. The 2025 Oklahoma City Thunder will forever live in history as one of the most dominant teams in recent NBA history, and I'm going to show you exactly how we got here. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop, like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications because we are going to be keeping you up to date on the entire NBA offseason. The NBA draft's in a few days. NBA free agency is going to be soon after. And now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? The Oklahoma City Thunder are your NBA champions, and to say that they 100% earned it is a gigantic understatement. Game 7 started about as normally as any other game in this series, but there was one major difference. Tyrese Haliburton started off scorching hot. He hit 3 quick threes and scored 9 of the first 14 Pacer points, but then a nightmare scenario happened for Indiana. In a half-court ISO against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Haliburton would collapse to the ground and immediately start screaming in pain. It instantly looked like a ruptured Achilles, and the tears coming from Hallie's eyes all but confirmed those beliefs. Losing Hallie after the start that he had is the worst possible thing that could have happened to Indiana in this game, but they still had work to do. Somehow, some way, Indiana kept doing what they've done all postseason and were able to stay in the game throughout the second quarter, but they just couldn't grab any momentum because it seemed like every time Shai Gilgeous-Alexander touched the ball in the half court, the ball found its way to the bottom of the net. However, by some miracle, Indiana finished the half as the better team and took a 1-point lead to the locker room after a bomb from Andrew Nembhard, despite the loss of Tyrese Haliburton. After scoring 40 points the last time he was at home, J-Dub was completely invisible in the first half, and if OKC wanted a ring, that was either going to have to change or somebody not named SGA was going to have to step up. OKC started the second half hot with an absolute Hail Mary from Lou Dort and a ridiculous circus layup from J-Dub to give them some much needed momentum. After that, OKC opened up a barrage, making 3 after 3 and giving themselves their largest lead of the game midway through the second quarter. The Thunder couldn't quite pull away though, because in unbelievable fashion, TJ McConnell started dominating the same way he did in game 5. OKC kept their lead, but TJ kept Indiana in the game for the time being. The main difference in this game up to this point, however, was turnovers. Indiana turned the ball over way more than OKC did, and that's exactly why the Thunder had the lead. Oklahoma City ended the third with all the momentum in the world and took a 13-point lead into the last 12 minutes of the season, with an NBA championship within arm's reach. Meanwhile, on the other end, if Indiana wanted to win this game, they were going to have to create magic the same way they had multiple times, but without their superstar. But unfortunately, it was way too much for the Pacers to overcome. All season long, the Thunder were the best team in the entire NBA, and not once has that changed. OKC finished the regular season with an unbelievable 68-14 record, which was not only good for the best record in basketball, but it was good for the best record we've seen since the Golden State Warriors broke the NBA record in 2016 with 73 wins. And before that, we hadn't seen a team win at least 68 games in a regular season since the Chicago Bulls won 69 in 1997, who were the last 68+ win team to win an NBA championship prior to this year. With that being said, I don't think it's insane to say that this Thunder team is one of the greatest professional basketball teams we've ever seen. seen. Now I know what you guys might be thinking.
Mike, this is all recency bias. The Pacers are overrated.
The Cavs or Celtics would have killed the Thunder in the finals if they made it. Well, if you look at the numbers, and quite honestly, if you look at the games, it was clear all season that no team even stood a chance against this Thunder team in a 7-game series. During the regular season, the Thunder had the 3rd highest offensive rating in the league, and also had the best defensive rating in the NBA by a decent margin. To put that into context, there are only 6 NBA champions to finish in the top 3 in both offensive and defensive ratings since 1980. The 1986 Celtics, the 1996 Bulls, the 2015 Warriors, and the 2017 Warriors, last year's Celtics, and of course the 2025 OKC Thunder. However, there's one difference between the Thunder and the rest of these championship teams. Out of every single team in NBA history, the 2025 OKC Thunder had the highest point differential by far. And it's not like you can say it's because of a lack of competition. Not only are we in the most talented era in NBA history, but OKC also had the 9th highest strength of schedule this season at a 50.9% win percentage. And if you even compare that to last year's Celtics team, who I mentioned as one of the 6 teams who were top 3 in both offensive and defensive rating alongside OKC, Boston's strength of schedule was ranked 19th at a 49.4% win percentage. These are historic numbers, and I really don't think we'll be seeing anything like this anytime soon.
Any question in your mind who the best team in the Western Conference is?
I'm going to have to say OKC by far. They are definitely together. They know their roles. They enjoy playing with each other.
Now, if the numbers I just went over haven't convinced you that this title run is one of the most dominant runs in NBA history just yet, then maybe going over the actual team itself and their run to the NBA Finals will. If you just look at the roster itself, you'll find one of the most deepest, most well put together teams in NBA history. At the top, you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. This year, Shai won league MVP, was the scoring champion, and truly cemented himself as one of the greatest players in OKC Thunder history after putting together one of the greatest and most complete seasons we've ever seen. Then there's J-Dub, Jalen Williams, who truly broke out as an elite number 2 this season, making all NBA 3rd team and all defensive 2nd team for the first time in his career, and all but sealed the championship with a 40-point Game 5 against the Pacers. Then, if you just keep going down the list, you see nothing but good competitive NBA players like Chet Holmgren, Lou Dort, Cason Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, and of course, their 2 major offseason acquisitions, Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein. Hartenstein signed with the Thunder this offseason on a 3-year, $87 million contract after truly finding his role with the New York Knicks last season. He came to OKC to free up Chet Holmgren from the center position and to provide a massive size advantage alongside Chet in OKC's starting lineup, which is exactly what OKC got. After Hartenstein finally made his Thunder debut after dealing with a fracture in his left hand to start the season, he immediately made a massive impact, and in games where Hartenstein started this season, the Thunder went 45-8. Alex Caruso, on the other hand, was the receiving end of a blockbuster trade that sent Josh Giddey to the Chicago Bulls. Giddey is a good player, we saw that this season in Chicago, but his playstyle and physicality didn't match the style of basketball that Mark Daigneault and the Thunder were going for, so they flipped him for arguably the most physical and energetic guard in the league to come off their bench. And boy, did that move pay off for OKC. Getting a veteran player like Caruso, who already had championship experience, turned out to be massive for OKC in the finals, as he provided the perfect amount of energy off of the bench and prevented Indiana from running their patented fast-paced style of play as much as he could. If we're being honest, everyone on this team did a good job of slowing down the Pacers, which heavily weakened their offensive game plan and forced them to run their half-court offense, which was not necessarily their strength. I mean, just look at some of these plays from late in Game 5. OKC applied an unbelievable amount of pressure when it mattered the most. They showed why they have a historical defense and swung the series in their favor before ultimately ending it. Indiana is going to have the ball down 8 with 6.5 minutes remaining, with a chance to cut the lead. Tyrese Halliburton, who had already been heavily struggling after injuring his right calf earlier in the game, is going to run around a high screen from Miles Turner that connected well, forcing a switch from Chet Holmgren. Now, earlier in the series, specifically Game 1, Halliburton would attack Chet at any given moment because he knew he had a mismatch, but here he just passes the ball off to Andrew Nembhard at the top of the key to try and eliminate Chet from the play instead. Nembhard is then heavily pressured by Lou Dort, who's a pro at that kind of thing, forcing Nembhard to drive left. At the same time, J-Dub, who was switched onto Miles Turner from the high screen earlier in the play, had gotten into position to attempt to deny Turner the ball, knowing he has a size mismatch. So once Nembhard takes a few strides towards the hoop, J-Dub steps up, effectively double teaming Nembhard and forcing him to make make a decision. At this point in the play, Shea is going to make a beautiful play from the corner. Shea sees that J-Dub has doubled Nembhard, which left Turner open in the paint for a split second, but he knows that Indiana is looking for a big shot, and that dropping down would leave Aaron Nesmith, a guy who killed every team he faced in the clutch this playoffs, wide open in the corner with a chance to gain some much needed momentum. So what does Shea do? He rotates over to Turner to make it seem like Nembhard had a lane to find an open Nesmith, but as soon as Nembhard went to pass the ball, Shea sprinted back over to the corner, stealing the ball and taking it all the way to go up double digits for a huge potential 5-point swing late in the game. And just 30 seconds later, Tyrese Halliburton is going to find himself with Chet Holmgren guarding him on the perimeter yet again. But this time, considering how it went when he passed up his opportunity last play, he chose to attack. However, OKC is going to run the most confusing and effective off-ball defense I may have ever seen here. Once Halliburton starts to attack, Lou Dort is going to completely step off of Aaron Nesmith and make his way over to Miles Turner in preparation to pressure Halliburton on any drive attempt. Well, Halliburton does drive, and he actually drives directly into Dort. Dort steps in front of Hallie, preventing him from attacking the rim, and Hallie is forced to dish the ball back out toward the perimeter. However, instead of Miles Turner being open due to Lou Dort pressuring Halliburton, Shea is right there for the steal, because instead of switching with Dort earlier in the play, Shea decided to stay down low, clogging multiple passing lanes at once and forcing yet another clutch steal in such a small time frame. Then just 30 seconds after that, Halliburton has yet another chance to make a big play with the ball in his hands, but this time, instead of Chet Holmgren being matched up on him, Lou Dort is there, terrorizing him. Halliburton is going to run left in an attempt to use his speed to outmatch Lou Dort, but he messes up when he steps back and picks up his dribble. Once that happens, Dort is going to get right in his face, creating one more turnover, and at this point, this all but seals the game for OKC. When you pair that level of defensive IQ and intensity with the top 3 offense in basketball, you create a recipe for a perfect basketball team, and I truly do think that the OKC Thunder are damn near a perfect basketball team. They had the second best odds to win the NBA championship before the season, and they somehow even blew those expectations out of the water. The closest anyone got to stopping their success this season was in the second round when the Denver Nuggets took them to 7 games. But if we're being honest, OKC should have won that series in 5 or 6 games. All season long, the Thunder seem to be on a different level than everybody else, and the scary part is they're just getting started. Shea is only 26, Chet is only 23, J-Dub's only 24, and Sam Presti still has a horde of first-round picks that could turn into anything. We witnessed one of the greatest teams in NBA history this season, and the fact that they're going to get better from here should terrify every other team in the league. Ladies and gentlemen, the Oklahoma City Thunder just started a potential dynasty, but another former dynasty just made a huge move. The Los Angeles Lakers have been sold by the Buss family to Mark Walter, and this changes everything for the Lakers. And I break down how the Lakers could become one of the most dominant teams in the NBA as a result of this sale in our previous video. I'm gonna leave it in the end screen and I'm gonna meet you guys there. I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.